Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Going Live with Global Science Show. My name is Sam Langford. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the coordinator and founder of the Global Science Show, the monthly virtual science festival that allows you, wherever you are, to share a little slice of science with a global audience. Today we have another half an hour chat with another science communicator, and we're going to find out who they are, what they do, and why they're awesome. Already quite a few people watching, so thank you so much for being here. I'd love to know what coffee of the day you're on. I'm on number 4. Yeah, I had to start very early today, so yeah, quite a lot of coffee. You might see that as the chat goes on and I start to just talk really fast because most of this coffee's already gone. We'll be here until about no, it is already half past. We'll be here until about 1 o'clock. Alex is saying that she's on coffee too. So like halfway there, Alex, another 2, and you'll get to the same sort of condition that I'm in right now. I'm going to stop talking now. We're going to get our guest in today. I'm delighted that he's here to have a chat with us. Say hello to another Sam. It's Sam Rowe.
Yeah, hi Sam. Hi everyone. Also on coffee too as well with one of my favourite mugs, the Pikachu one, of course.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Special occasions like this as well.
Yeah, we've had a lot of really good mug game on this live stream these past couple of weeks. I think Pikachu is definitely up there with one of the best. We had Danny Stones a few weeks ago who had a giant Kermit the Frog mug, which absolutely loved it. Mine is a Yoshi, which
very good.
We're all being very nerdy. Thank you so much for being here to have a chat with us.
No, lovely to be here, and thank you so much for having me on.
No, it's an absolute delight. I'm going to start with the question that we always ask, which is, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, I'm Sam. I work in public engagement in Norwich. My background in terms of that is kind of more in chemistry and research. So did undergraduate degree, PhD in chemistry, and then the last 3 years or so been working in science communication, public engagement, kind of events coordination. So first got into that during the PhD, really loved it, and then stuck with it. And now been in Norwich for about 8 years, I think it is. I can't really believe it. Grew up nearby, so it was sort of, a familiar city, but yeah, kind of coming into 3 years since wrapping up the PhD, and yeah, really loving all the science communication so far.
Oh, that's really cool. Me and my partner were talking about like how long he's been up in Scotland, and it's been like eight years now, and like that time just absolutely flies. And the same with our dog. Our dog's just turned 7. So she's been here for like a third of her lives almost, and it's just time absolutely flies. How have you spent your pandemic, Sam?
Very similar to everyone else, I guess. Doing kind of as little as possible. So staying in, going virtual, everything, and then when the rules allow, kind of just making the most of getting outside. Been very lucky, I guess, during pandemic. Haven't known many people that have kind of got it and gotten sick with it, and kind of being in Norwich and Norfolk, the numbers around here have been relatively low. So it's felt slightly safer when it has been opened up to go out and do things. And I live right near the university in Norwich, so we've got this amazing sort of park. The UEA campus is just beautiful as a lake and everything. So for walks and things, been very lucky to kind of get out and about when I can. And live quite close to family and friends who have been able to see like distance outside. So yeah, very lucky. And it's gone so quickly. I can't really believe it's like we hit that 1 year since the first lockdown last year either.
Yeah, the time has just flown away from us. I've seen the photographs that you've put up of like that lake, and it is just like must just be such a lifesaver to have things like that around.
Definitely, just to get that fresh air, to get outside and see people. It's just so nice to kind of be on this side of the city. Really recommend anyone, when you can, come to Norwich and it's safe. Obviously, would love to say hi, and we can go for a walk around the lovely lake at UEA.
Oh, awesome. So a couple of things we're going to talk about today, but more specifically, you've just started a new role. What is it you're doing now?
Yeah, so to the new job, so it's all very new. It's been a little bit strange kind of starting from home. Spoken to a few people who have kind of picked up new roles over the past year or so. And just, it's so much harder getting to know people when you can't just go and grab a coffee with them or, bump into them into the corridor to say hi. But yeah, at the beginning of March, I started as a public engagement officer at the Earlham Institute in Norwich. So this is one of the big research institutes on the Norwich Research Park. It's kind of 20 minutes down the road from me. So when we can go back in the office, it'll be really nice just to wander over there through the parks, where I might potentially invest in a bike. I haven't biked in years and years, but it's quite a nice way to kind of go through UEA and get over to the Earlham Institute. Yeah, so I work now on a project called the Darwin Tree of Life project. So the aim of that on the research side is to sequence or analyze the DNA of all species in Britain and Ireland. So all eukaryotic species, so things like animals, plants, fungi, and then these sort of tiny single-celled like protists as well. So there's about kind of 60, 70,000 of those. So it's quite a big, ambitious project to sort of do the research of that, to find these species, collect the DNA, analyze them, put that into kind of an open database. And as part of that, I do the public engagement side, which has only just started. So quite an exciting time to join, because own ideas for how we can just get the project research out there, and also just help with kind of learning about the wider topics. So, things from like the DNA and the chemistry side to, what is a genome? Why are they important? And then Earlham very much focuses on kind of the computational side and the bioinformatics. So, how does that DNA sequencing and analysis and kind of open data fit into it all? And then all within kind of the wider context of, why is biodiversity important? How can this help conservation efforts? And how are species adapting to things like climate change? So I love it. And it's been really cool so far, kind of getting into it and learning about new areas of science and getting to know new people as part of the communications team at Earlham, because it feels like the scope of it could be really huge in terms of the research side, and then how we can kind of fit in with different public engagement activities as well. So just getting started, but really, really excited. Like the project sounds so cool. And I've just got so many ideas in my head of things that I feel we could like get involved with and link up with other schemes and things that I do in Norwich.
60 to 70,000 species is a huge, huge number. How long has this project been going on?
Been a couple of years for the research side, and it's kind of phased over different timescales. So we're part of phase 1, which is almost like a pilot phase. And then this summer, writing for the phase 2 of the Darwin Tree of Life project coming up, which will kind of go over more like 5 to 10 years. So it's quite a long-term project. My kind of 2-year contract is part of this initial sort of pilot and growth phase, just to test whether we're doing some school activities, work with nature groups, things on social media, or like training and conferences. Then hopefully that work can kind of build into bigger grants. But as you said, 60 to 70,000 species, getting all of those, getting great, DNA, high quality DNA isolated from them and then analyzed and then put up online. It's going to be a really big project. And what's really cool is it kind of links with a global effort. So the Darwin Tree of Life is like the UK branch. There's then it's called the Earth Biogenome Project, which is like the worldwide one, which is kind of millions of species. So yeah, really exciting. And one of the coolest things is that a lot of these species are potentially kind of unknown, or as part of the work, there might be lots of finding new species. So that kind of citizen science side, I think, will be quite cool. Once we get some of the public engagement up and running, we could actually get school children, citizen scientists, kind of feeding into the actual project, finding new species down at the Norfolk Broads, for example.
No, that I can just imagine kids absolutely loving a project like that, because there is that opportunity for them so directly to contribute to the research, as well as like just learning about it for themselves. So is that gonna? Sorry, I'm just really interested in this now. My biology's my background's in biology and zoology. So
I was gonna say, you probably know a lot more about this than I do, because I'm coming at from chemistry. But as from my undergraduate degree through PhD, I'm slowly bringing in more and more biology. So lots of new things to learn as well. Yeah.
But that's like a really good thing to have that differing perspective on it as well, and like to bring those together. how are they collecting the kind of specimens to use? Is that like wild animals and wild like eukaryotes, or is it a mixture of that and kind of museum specimens and things like that? Is it a mixture?
Yeah, big mix. So working with lots of different, there's about 10 different partners, I think, in the Darwin Tree of Life. So that includes like the Natural History Museum, University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, Kew Gardens, and also the Marine Biology Labs, which I think is in Plymouth. I may have got that wrong. But yeah, 10 different partners, all with amazing different specialities and different areas all across Britain and Ireland. And it's basically bringing all that together kind of from the fundamental research side, people that already have all these collections and knowledge of the local area. It's almost bringing that into this big database. And one of the cool things is that at the end, all the data is going to be open source. So the idea is that everyone can access it. It's not kind of hidden away behind a paywall or as part of a single publication. The idea is to put all this high quality genome analysis up online. So hopefully then, 5-10 years down the line, when we've kind of hit, or the researchers have kind of hit that 60, 70,000 species mark, everyone can then use that and kind of learn from it.
I'm going to ask like a kind of fundamental SciComm question is like, why is it important that we do this?
Yeah, I guess there's 3 main reasons why I think sort of studying genomes and DNA is important. So it's about just understanding what is around us. So almost like answering those fundamental questions about evolution and what lives where and why. There's also a bit about what we can kind of benefit from and understand in terms of conservation. So with huge pressures like climate change and kind of the expansion of human civilization, growth of cities, growth of infrastructure and transport, how are species going to be adapting from that? So it's almost a way of logging what is there now, which will then feed into kind of conservation efforts to make sure that we're not permanently damaging, plants, animals, fungi, these single-celled protists, kind of biodiversity as well. And then kind of looking forward, there's like the benefiting from this kind of side. So what can we learn from understanding how species are adapting to different environments? Plants that are growing in more extreme environments, are there things that we can take from that when we're looking at, say, genetic modification, adaptations to climate change, or new medicines? A lot we can learn about from the DNA, so the genetic instructions, the genomes of all these different species in how they live, what they produce, how they interact with other things. And I think then there's a lot of research that can kind of come from it. Yeah, whether it's in terms of more renewable fuels and medicine and food security as well.
It sounds like such a really exciting project. I've popped like the link to it in the banner at the bottom if people want to go and check out more information about the Darwin Tree of Life project. I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I can see like so many opportunities for some really good science communication and public engagement projects. So yeah, really excited to see what you got up to in the coming
I'll keep
months.
Tweeting about it, and we're making a website.
Oh, I think your audio has dropped out.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, you're all good. That was it.
Perfect. We're also making like one of the projects I'm working on, sort of landing page on the Earlham Institute website. So hopefully we can kind of add to that with little updates, and then also I'll be tweeting a lot about what I get up to.
Awesome. People definitely need to keep up to date. Before this current role and this current project, what other science communication experience do you have? Because you said you get started with it during PhD. So what other things have you done?
Yeah, so during PhD, it's kind of lots of bits and pieces. Maybe a few projects a year through things like the Royal Society of Chemistry, almost like that first learning, the kind of delivery side, getting involved in like science stands at science festivals, or first getting into Twitter kind of back in 2016 and kind of talking about science and science communication through that. And it kind of built up from there. So as I kind of felt more established, learned what I was doing in science communication, through Norwich Science Festival and little stands almost. It then kind of shifted from the delivery to the kind of the communication side. So towards the end of the PhD, I was lucky enough to be one of the sort of founding members on the first committee of the Norwich branch of the British Science Association. So that kind of was set up new in Norwich. That's kind of been retired now. It's now become the Norfolk and Norwich Science Association, group of great volunteers in Norwich that do things like that. So it kind of progressed, from like lots of, going to festivals, being on the stands, talking about random bits of science to school children and adults, public that kind of just wandered through these events in Norwich City Centre, for example, to then more coordination. And it was kind of through all of that really enjoyed it and then wanted to kind of continue with that post PhD. So the PhD, lots of little bits and pieces. And then from there, I've had kind of two main jobs before the one I just started. So the first was at a company called Developing Experts, which is a education technology startup company. So they make online science resources. So for them, kind of produced science videos, science lesson plans, and blogs that kind of all went onto their online platform that then schools subscribe to. Particularly in the UK, kind of key stage 1 to 3 lessons, we kind of gave teachers the resources. But if science wasn't their background, they could kind of learn from that. I was there for about a year, and then the role I had just prior to the one I did was with Norwich Science Festival. So this was more events and marketing for the big festival that goes on every October in Norwich. So very much more behind the scenes. So Developing Experts, it was like in front of the camera, I was making these little explainer videos or showing these little activities for how people could make a volcano at home or do some drawings. Very typical standard kind of science psychom experiments with Developing Experts. And then following on from that, Norwich Science Festival was more the behind the scenes, the coordination. So hopefully trying to kind of support and empower other people to come along to the festival and run their own stands and do their own shows. And it was then from that now started at Earlham Institute.
It's a really good kind of progression and seeing like the different things that you're really interested in and where it all gets to. I always have found that I always really enjoy the facilitation aspect. I love the delivery, but I really get a lot out of the facilitation aspect. So I think I've got a lot in common with you there in terms of like how things have progressed.
It's interesting seeing both sides as well, isn't it? I think I don't know if it's perhaps more common you start off with the delivery, perhaps getting involved in wider schemes. At least that's how I seem to start alongside the PhD, and it was a bit of a balance of doing the research and also then doing that kind of in spare time, evenings and weekends. But it felt as I was more established and you kind of learn how the behind the scenes work and you get to know new people, new networks. It was then that kind of step up, as you said. And I do also love the coordination. I love kind of the training and the support to kind of help other people get to that stage. Because in the PhD, it felt a bit tough to kind of get into it at first because I didn't always feel like I had the support of the supervisor and the group. Luckily kind of won them over eventually, sort of the more I did, but it did take a little while for it to get the balance right between doing this stuff that I love, but also getting results and doing experiments and kind of having the PhD as the main priority.
Awesome. So like you've taken that route from the PhD onwards, and like quite a lot of people are doing a similar thing at the moment. I think it's becoming a lot more common for PhD students to move into a lot more kind of science communication, either alongside or move in that direction of as a career. What would be your top tips for someone who's interested in getting into SciComm but not quite sure where to go?
Yeah, I was thinking about this when we were kind of talking, because been lucky to kind of now kind of look back and sort of deliver talks or share this kind of advice. And I think it kind of comes down to two main things. One is more like if you're trying to get into it, and I guess the other is sort of more for when you're doing it. I guess my main recommendation is that SciComm, as that kind of big umbrella of science communication, can mean so many different things. So people, and I certainly did, had ideas of what a job in science communication or public engagement looked like, and in my head it was always like going into schools or being at a science festival. But actually there's so many different aspects and amazing jobs and organizations that kind of fit within science communication, whether that's writing, media, videos, radio, blog posts, the social media side, sort of policy, working with government, knowledge exchange and spin out companies. There's so many different areas that I'd really recommend just trying things out, giving all these different things a go, and keep in your mind that science communication doesn't just have to be one particular type of job or with one particular type of organization. If you're lucky enough and you can during a PhD, I just recommend reaching out to your events team, your public engagement team, and seeing what's on offer, and just saying yes to different opportunities, asking about different opportunities, and giving things a go, because it's perhaps a bit cliched advice, but you're perhaps just as likely to find out the different things that you're not interested in or perhaps not so good at, as the things you love and then really want to do. So for me, I kind of loved the video work. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. So I've always looked for jobs that kind of incorporate lots of those different things. And the same as you were saying, like going more from the delivery to the coordination or strategy and management side, I'm really interested in. But also realized I'm a really, really slow writer. So this was tough again with the PhD thesis. Like, as much as I like it, it does take me ages to kind of go through and get things how I want. I'm not very good at just getting words out and ideas. I don't know if I kind of want it to be perfect the first time, so I'm not very good at just writing a rough copy and then going with that. But that I learned through getting involved in blog posts and trying some science writing. So I've tried to kind of draw on all the different things that you can try out and be interested in, and that there are so many different jobs, in science communication, different types of jobs, always available and easy to get, right? But keep an eye. And if you're looking into jobs in science communication, they might not always be called something like a science communicator. They love the word officer for lots of different things, or whether it's like science media or learning and engagement coordinator. I think that'd be my advice: is try lots of things, and look out for jobs that are worded in slightly different ways that might incorporate all the different things that you love doing.
Yeah, it was something I was talking about with a group like an hour ago, is that so many jobs are science communication jobs but are never described as them, and can be really confusing to get your head around what exactly the market looks like. I think the science communication sector is quite difficult to navigate because of that, because there's no consistency. But I think it's because it's still such a young sector.
And that sort of links with something that you're amazing at doing on Twitter, is sort of really talking about the audience. So that's sort of going to be the other bit of advice, I guess, that always seems to come up with science communication. It can be, and I found that quite hard when looking for jobs, is what the audience is like that you're going to be engaging with, and how important that is to kind of identify and work with. But if you know the kind of audiences you like engaging with, that can really lead to the type of job you might like doing as well.
Yeah, well, and I always come. It's my thing is, you need to know who you're talking to, and you can't just go general public. No, doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So, God, the time's flying. Like, it's almost past. The last thing that I wanted to speak about is that you've spoken recently on Twitter about being bisexual, and it'd be really great to talk about the community of Twitter surrounding this, and it's something that I found as well, because it's an incredibly supportive place, especially within science and science communication. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts on that, in terms of that kind of journey, but also whether it's something that you think you'll bring into your science communication. We had a discussion a few weeks ago with M. Dixon, Sarah Cosgriff, about kind of identity and how that fits into what we deliver. So just been lovely to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that was a really great discussion, actually. Heard between you and Em and Sarah. I guess the main thing is I still feel fairly new to the community. So she said bisexual, and it's only really been 6 months since I told my parents and tweeted about it. I mean, I've been telling friends and other people kind of for years before then, but it really felt like a step. I think it was last September, just doing that post and being more open about it. So it's been a long journey, many, many years, so many worries and anxieties. But the reason I wanted to do it on Twitter is because, as you said, there is an amazing LGBTQ plus in STEM or in SciComm community. And I've always found them really inspiring, really accepting, really supportive, and particularly that they can talk openly and honestly about their personal experiences as well as their work. What I try and do on Twitter, and what I've always wanted to do, and where I'm trying to get to, is just to show that authentic self, I guess, that I don't have to be pigeonholed into just talking about work or just talking about psychometry. I can talk about lots of different things, whether that's life or being bisexual, being part of the LGBTQ plus community, the other things that I'm interested in. So still fairly new on that journey, but with every tweet, with every person I talk to, every time I say, I'm bisexual, it feels like my head is clearing, I guess. And it's felt like being more open and being more honest. I think I tweeted about this yesterday, actually. I find it a bit easier to kind of form connections with people, be part and add into that LGBTQ plus community that I owe a lot to, kind of in the past years, like watching from behind the scenes and wanting to join in with. And it was kind of them inspiring me, talking about themselves, being authentic, that kind of led me to wanting to do that myself. And again, it's a little cliched perhaps, but you want to be that role model you perhaps wished you had growing up. And I don't know whether you found this as well, but sort of growing up and just in the kind of discussions in general, it felt very much like you're gay or straight, that kind of binary. And because I never felt that I've identified with either of those fully, I did find, being bisexual and being able to talk about that quite difficult. So that's why I try and share a lot of these thoughts that I can as a bit of a journey, just to show people that, it doesn't have to be this binary, and it's fine if you don't fit into these typical descriptions that, for me at least, those were the only options as such growing up, and not fitting into that was then quite difficult. But also to show that, it can be a long journey, and you're always learning things and always meeting amazing new people. And that's what I'm hoping to try and show through Twitter, at least, what I'm learning as I'm going along, but still feeling very new to kind of the community as well. And as you were saying, you felt as well, very, very, very supportive so far. Always lots of good advice and ideas. And I would love to start kind of incorporating that into the science and science communication eventually. Even if it's just helping to kind of empower LGBTQ plus researchers in the Darwin Tree of Life project, for example, if we perhaps made a network through that to make sure they're involved in events and feel comfortable doing that. And in fact, just kind of think about writing grants and things with Norwich Science Festival, so old colleagues, for putting on some more LGBTQ plus in STEM events just in Norwich in general, perhaps as part of the Science Festival. So now that I feel more comfortable talking about it, it's so much easier to kind of plan and bring that into life and work as well, I guess. I don't know if you found that too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I, again, still very new to the community, and still like looking to find my place in that as well. But again, the people who are there, like your Sarah Cosgriffs, who I'll reference Sarah all the time because she's such an amazing person, has helped with those discussions. I've also found like watching what you've talked about to be really helpful as well, especially being someone that's fairly new to the community as well. So thank you for that. And I still don't know how it fits into what my work's going to look like, or whether it even will. It might, I don't know. But just even knowing that there are people there to help support and to talk to and potentially like create events with, write grants with, is really, really useful. So again, thank you for being one of those people that's helped to kind of rationalize things in my head, even if you didn't know you were doing that.
No, well, same with you. And I think, as you said, kind of great that those discussions are, people are being more open about those discussions in science and in science communication. And it's been great kind of getting involved in things like this and getting to meet new people. Actually was messaging M Dixon. We've got a meeting for tomorrow for the first time. So just reminded me of that when you, there's a bit of a name drop, but looking forward to chatting to M too.
There's another thing about the SciComm world is it's quite small. Is that people all know each other, and like it can feel obviously that little bit kind of cliquey, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of work being done to kind of knock down those barriers. But it's really nice seeing like people like you two like starting to work together and whatnot, because it can only lead to really good things. That is past. How did it get to past so quickly?
It's gone quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, 30 minutes has gone really, really fast. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today.
No, thanks so much. It's been really nice. Anytime, and anything you want to work on, then let me know.
Well, I mean, I'm freelance now, so if you've got projects for me to work on, I will definitely come like knocking at the door. Thank you again. I'm going to use the power that I have to kind of knock you out of the room. But before we do that, one last thing to do is to say, where can people find you, like if they want to follow more about what you do?
Yeah, best place is Twitter. So that's at Sam F Rowe. Basically, just tweeting about everything that I do, pretty much. And yeah, lovely to connect with new people on there. So always there to chat if people want to.
Awesome, and I've just used that little bit of time to go and get that like banner set up so people can
Very
see
good.
it.
Smooth and
Like
professional as
like
always.
no one noticed a thing that I was even trying to do that. Right, thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, and yeah, thanks for everyone for listening.
Right, see you soon.
Speak soon. Bye.
Another very quick half an hour. Every single time it just like flies by. Thank you so much to all of you folks that have been watching and for commenting. We've had a couple of comments on YouTube and on Periscope. And yeah, Sarah Beth going, yeah, it was so subtle, wasn't it? Like me having to find a gap so I can go and type. It was done. It was fine. Thank you so much to everybody for watching along, for your comments. We're going to be back again on Thursday with Fiona Calvert, which will be really good fun. In the meantime, we are still what a way to end it. I keep losing like microphones and internet, and it's been going on all morning. So I'm gonna stop us now. If you want to come and chat to us at a future episode, please get in touch via Twitter at Global Sci Show, and we'll definitely get you on a future episode. In the meantime, we'll see you on Thursday at around 12 p.m. for our chat with Fiona Calvert. Take care, folks. See you soon.